Okay, so we are back with another altcoin gem. I apologize that I've been out the loop a little bit. I had to take some time to myself, and this is actually a great time to do that for yourself, especially when the markets are trading within inside a range. So at the minute, obviously, Bitcoin has fallen, the market has dipped. I do believe that we are going to be ranging between somewhere maybe to 50 to 45k, possibly even 40k if we drop down even lower. But now's a good time to just sit back and just observe. And sometimes no investment or no trade is the best trade, right? So I had to take some time out. This video is long overdue. I should have released this a good few weeks ago, but here we are, another blockchain game, another altcoin gem. And I have to say, like, this probably is one of the best actual games that I've come across in this space thus far. And I want to really emphasize that point, right? Game, because a lot of developers now, given the hype and the attraction to the crypto gaming aspect, there are so many games that are being created, new games being created every day. And a lot of these games are terrible. They're actually awful, in my humble opinion. The quality and the standard isn't actually that high, right? But my thinking is that, look, as an investor, I want to simplify my thesis. And in doing that, I want to make sure that I'm finding quality over quantity, right? My portfolio is really based on quality investments, high conviction plays. In order for me to continue that thesis and be successful in doing that, I need to find games that are going to be the primary focus from the developers. Why? Because at some point in time, naturally, the hype around crypto gaming is going to dissipate to some degree, not completely, not totally, of course, but to some degree. So what happens when that happens? Well, what are we going to be left with? We're going to be left with games. And the games that you want to be looking for, the games that you want to start investing in, are the games that are going to be here to last. And the games that are going to be here to last are the games that people are going to want to play. Simple. And Gold Fever is a really interesting game, especially when it comes to the game plot itself, right? So as I'm learning more and as I'm researching crypto games, I'm starting to realize that these games themselves need to be games that players want to play. And one of the most important aspects of that is the actual game plot, right? The graphics of this game actually appear to be pretty good. This is a game that's actually in its beta version at the moment. It's sent out a private invitation to a lot of people. And those people, I would imagine, at some point in time in the near future are going to be releasing videos on the gameplay itself, so we get to have a little bit more of an insight. But the graphics actually are pretty good, and we're going to look at some videos of the gameplay shortly. But Gold Fever is a challenging, as it says here, free-to-play survival RPG, which stands for role-playing game. So a game like a Grand Theft Auto or one of those kind of games where you're specifically a character or playing a role, that leverages the power of the blockchain to create a decentralized economy around its limited resources and various in-game NFT items. Okay, so the game plot, as it says here, is revolved around facing the horrors of the dark and haunting jungle as you engage in fast-paced battles against the opposing team. Complex terrain and widely varying character strengths and weaknesses make for intense and highly strategic fights. Through the power of NFTs, own the items you create, find or purchase. Okay, so all of the in-game items are NFTs, they're all assets. This is the play-to-earn model. Involve in developing the infrastructure required for players to navigate and play in our huge world, require expensive planes or gold tools and rent them out to other players. Use our governance token to vote and dictate the future of the game. So it's a decentralized game, decentralized model, and it really is a great game. We're going to get into it more, but it really is a great game. And these are just some of the game features here. So you have battle arenas that we're going to get into more. Obviously, there's the possibility to earn, which is a key factor. But let me just say this as well. For those that are listening, obviously the play-to-earn model is what really I think is going to be, the attractive aspect of these games, right? Playing games and earning cryptocurrency and doing that. However, let me just reiterate what I said at the beginning. Developers need to focus on the game first, not the play-to-earn. Okay, it should be play and earn, not play to earn, because too many developers now are making games just basing the game on the actual earn aspect when they should be focusing on the quality of the game. Make a good game and make the earning aspect secondary. You can collect, as it says here, collecting the in-game items, which are now assets, and you can trade them, use them, rent them out, and so on. And as it says here, you can trade on the game's marketplace. NFTs represent everything from simple daggers to mysterious potions, powerful guns, mining equipment, and the characters themselves. And again, the play to earn model was there. So how to play? You can essentially pick two characters, right? Two different teams, if you like. One is an adventurer, okay, and one is basically like a tribe or tribesman rather. And the overall plot is that if you're going to be an adventurer, you're going onto indigenous lands and you're trying to mine gold, and your job is to get the gold, steal the gold from the land, kill the tribesmen on your mission if you need to, take the gold to the bank, and then boom, you earn cryptocurrency through doing that. Really, really dark, but really, really cool. And I think these dark themes to these games are always going to do really, really well, because these are the games that people want to play, especially when they're role-playing games, right? And obviously on the other side, you're the tribesman, where you're actually fighting the adventurers, you're protecting the gold, and then making sure that they stay on the indigenous lands, and you're actually doing it in the service of your ancestral god, which I think again is just really, really cool. It's like modern day capitalism, really, really cool. So you got the adventurer, and you got the tribal, as you can see here. But you can also be a capitalist, and this is one of the really interesting aspects of this game, right? So you don't even have to play the game. If you're someone that has a lot of capital, you can actually purchase a mining claim, okay, which is a portion of a map. And then on that map, in that mining claim, you can then set the rules for a battle between the adventurers and the tribals over the gold, or the amount of gold that's contained in each mining claim on that specific part of that map. And then you can even buy expensive objects and rent them back to the players who are playing on your land. So effectively, you can actually rent a mining claim, right? So an example would this is like modern day capitalism, seriously. As someone that has a lot of capital, a lot of money, you basically buy a portion of the land, and then you rent that land out to players who fight on your land for gold, and then whatever portion of gold is collected or mined from your land, you are allocated a portion, and you haven't even fought, you haven't even played the game. You're just someone that has a lot of capital who's invested in the game, and then you're renting it out to other players. It's fascinating. Everybody gets paid. So naturally the adventurers and the tribals, depending on their success in the game, they get paid. And then there's the guy that owns the land. You've purchased the mining claim, you also get an allocation of the gold that's been mined. Pretty amazing. And you also, again, merchant, you can earn money and become an item creator, lead guilds or invest in the infrastructure, leveraging the continuous need for services and items that adventurers require. So again, developers, digital creators, content creators, artists, digital artists. Okay, so we're just going to run through the white paper briefly. If you're researching a game or a project, don't be lazy. You've always got to look at the white paper. And this white paper gives you all the information that you need. As you can see here, table of contents. We're just going to briefly go through the important parts of this, just to break it down so everybody understands what this project is, the tokenomics, how the token works, and why it could be something that you might want to look at possibly as part of your portfolio. This is interesting, as it says here, as I've highlighted, in the rapidly growing online gaming market, which is anticipated to grow at 17.5% over the next 7 years to reach annual revenues exceeding 285 billion, Gold Fever sits in the particularly attractive competitive gaming segment. The game is designed to appeal to players who enjoy complex strategy, immersive story, and dark themes. And I personally am not. I'm not going to play the games. I'm being honest with you. I'm actually here to invest in them. I might buy some of the in-game assets, but I'm not actually going to play the games. I've got other things that I want to do in life. But back when I was playing games, these are the games that appealed to me. Really and truly, these are the games that I was interested in playing. So this is another interesting section too. It says Gold Fever players have the potential to earn income directly through online gameplay, as well as to support the game's ecosystem. Our research shows that 90% of competitive gamers are attracted to the possibility of earning an income through the games they play. Up until now, their primary options for doing so have been limited to securing sponsorships for competitive gaming competitions, winning sponsored tournaments, gold farming, and as it says at the bottom, as with professional athletes, gamers who achieve professional status are 1 in a million, meaning the chances of earning an income through gaming are slim to none. Gold Fever brings the potential to democratize obtaining a salary through online gaming by integrating a variety of crypto-enabled decentralizing mechanisms. So the game is going to be self-governed over time. The decentralized aspect is going to be brought in gradually, as it has to be. It has to be built first, and then the decentralized mechanisms are introduced at a later stage. Gold Fever players can earn money not only with their playing skills, but also by crafting and selling in-game items, hosting arenas, lending in-game currency, renting out in-game items, offering in-game services through skills or items that help other players, selling and trading unique in-game NFTs. So there's an array of or various means of being able to earn cryptocurrency, which is what's going to really drive the user growth, right? Why are people going to want to come over here and play this game? As an investor, you need to be looking for these points, because user growth is what is going to drive the price of this investment, drive the price of this project and asset. And I love this here, right? This is important. In the early but rapidly growing crypto-enabled game segment, Gold Fever sets itself apart by being the first to feature top-grade 3D graphics and a focus on quality gameplay first, right? Really important, over being a quote-unquote crypto-enabled game. Beyond that, Gold Fever uses cryptocurrency and decentralization as tools to unlock growth and engage a long-lasting community of players and supporters. So again, just reiterating what I just mentioned beforehand. After the game has been released to the public, decentralized governance mechanisms are gradually introduced. Again, what I just mentioned. The aim is to create the perfect realm for a self-governing game where players elect a council that will decide upon the best interests, such as whom to work with, what things to tweak, what features to add, what budgets to use, and much more. Putting the power back in the hands of the user. And this is what decentralization is all about, people. So it just goes into a bit about the next generation structure of video games, right? Really important to understand as an investor. As technology advances, the digital world increasingly mirrors the physical world. And honestly, people, like the fine line between the physical and the digital worlds are going to merge in a way where I don't think people can quite fathom at this point. So this is important to hone in on. Nowhere is this more apparent than in gaming, right? This is why our thesis is crypto gaming, where entire cultures develop around the most popular games, complete with memes, fashions, and legendary players. However, one aspect of in-game worlds that remains largely untapped is the development of robust in-game economies. This is where crypto changes everything. If designed correctly, these economies have the potential to supercharge the growth of the game and its surrounding ecosystem. 100%. In-game economies and the communities around projects is going to be what drives the growth. The success of a project really and truly now is dependent on the economy and the community. The two main reasons for the non-emergence of in-game economies thus far are: traditional game developers are centralized and maintain copyright control over all of the in-game items and characters. While there are numerous instances of external markets developing around in-game items, this is usually discouraged or explicitly prohibited in the game's TOS, limiting the growth of such markets. Current business models instead rely on monetization through one or more of the following methods: individual licenses for the game, in-game purchases, advertising. In-game items are not scarce. Items in other video games like swords and shields are infinitely reproducible and entirely indistinguishable, so they cannot accrue value. Just as items in the real world have value due to their scarcity, utility, and history, items with such characteristics in the digital world can also accrue value. If players can be empowered to take ownership of their lovingly crafted characters and other unique in-game items, a real economy around those characters and objects can flourish, just like in the physical world. So this is really important. The decentralization of development characterizes the next generation structure of video games, 100%. The future is decentralized, especially with gaming. Empowering players with self-sovereign ownership of assets and the emergence of a free market for them, as well as game-adjacent resources like server space and even game governance. By creating a robust economy, developers can unleash economic forces towards achieving rapid organic growth of the game and its surrounding ecosystem, including the resources needed to scale. Again, echoing what I just mentioned. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is the game. This is the basic plot. And this is important to always hone in on and start to practice learning about these games and just putting yourself in the mind of a gamer, right? What games do I want to play? Gold Fever is set in the unforgiving wilderness where a gold rush pits the native tribes against the adventurers who come in search of riches. Gold Fever has turned the jungle into a dangerous place where those who wish to survive and prosper must form alliances. Tribals seek to kill adventurers, take their gold and return it to the rivers of their ancestral gods. Really super cool. Adventurers might face attacks from other Gold Fever-stricken adventurers, so they're even fighting other adventurers fighting for the gold. The Gold Fever experience is dark and tense, with innumerable horrors lurking in the forest and generous amounts of gory violence. This sounds like a game that I would want to play. This sounds like a game that other people are going to want to play. Trust me, I know for a fact people are going to play this. Basic gameplay. The game's virtual 3D world is divided into mining claims, which are unique areas of the jungle containing rivers, mountains, traps and artifacts. Each claim then also holds a set amount of gold up for grabs throughout the limited duration of a single game. The amount of gold included in each map is known to all players from the start. Adventurers may have to pay to have a shot at the claims containing the highest amounts of gold, but they stand to benefit if they can find and deposit gold in the local bank. Tribals, meanwhile, can earn reputation and currency by killing the adventurers and returning the recovered gold to the shrines of the ancestral gods. Crazy. Players take on specific roles that come with unique skills and abilities. Adventurers take the role of a prospector, medic or hunter, while tribals choose between sorcerer, forager or warrior. I'm talking so fast I can't even get my words out properly. This motivates players to join balanced teams and work together strategically as they combine the uses of each class. For example, in the adventurer faction, some individuals may focus on gold panning while others guard the camp, search for food or other valuable items. Gold Fever players, whether in tribal or adventurer roles, also earn reputation and experience, which are defined as follows. Reputation is a value, right, that is derived from the cumulative number of characters killed during the fights, the quantity of gold saved, and other factors. So you can actually build your character and earn new ways or new means of earning crypto over the long term just through being able to kill the most characters, not even just collecting the gold, right? So the developers have created numerous ways to make this game just even more fun. It's not limited to one means or one way of being able to be successful in the game. And again, with experience, points are collected while completing quests and tasks in the initial tutorial and free-to-play arenas, which we're going to get into, where they're actually creating a section of the game that is free-to-play, which I think is great, because this is what gives the ability for people to get on board, play the game, try the game, see if they even like it, and then continue. And developers that do this kind of thing, I think, are actually really confident in the game, and I think it's a good sign, really and truly. At the end of each game, any gold that adventurers did not extract remains in the mining claim, meaning the owners can then host another arena at a later time, albeit with less potential gold. As it might be expected, gold forms the backbone of the Gold Fever economy. It's critical to remember also that gold, NGL, has real value in the real world, making Gold Fever's economy very different from most. Players spend money to buy the mining claims license containing gold, which is the NGL, and then NGL, which is an Ethereum ERC20 currency, can be, and also Polygon actually, they're now on Matic, just due to the transaction fees, which I think was a wise move, can be exchanged for any other token and eventually into players' local currency. Each map contains artifacts and bonus items that can be added to players' inventory, such as weapons, survival kits, beasts of burden, gold extraction skills and more. The items players find along the way stay with their character as well, for use in future arenas, and can be bought, sold or traded amongst other players by visiting one of the markets in the towns at the edges of the jungle. Super cool. Okay, so this game has one game but 4 types of tokens. Okay, so the first one, Jewel, as you can see at the top here, number 1, it's not actually a crypto, right? So what they've done is they've actually enabled this to be a unit of account that actually players will be able to buy with fiat currencies. Okay, so using bank cards, PayPal, anything else, and they can even do it with cryptos too. But what this does is it allows an onboarding, as I mentioned, for people that are aren't actually in crypto, because crypto itself can actually be quite complicated for a lot of people, you know, moving tokens around, dealing with exchanges, onboarding, wallets, all this kind of thing. So they've actually created an onboarding that allows players to participate in the game without actually using cryptocurrency, which I think is brilliant. I know, you know, crypto, everybody wants crypto, but at the same time, you have to understand this as a project that's trying to develop and trying to grow organically, and you know, offering a way for people to actually come and try the game and test the game, and even that be their first taste of a crypto game. If they love the game and they want to keep on playing, then naturally they're going to want to get involved in the crypto aspect too. So I think this is a good idea. And then number 2, you have native gold NGL, which is a fungible ERC20 token that represents the gold resource within the game that the players will be able to find in the game's rivers. Approved participants effectively bring NGL into the ecosystem when they use their mining claim licenses to set up an arena where adventurers and tribals fight amongst each other and extract the gold. And then you have number 3, which is Julius's Brain. This is a governance token which is airdropped periodically to Gold Fever participants based on an algorithm that takes into consideration your involvement in the game and multiple parameters such as the use of an in-game token, rights acquired, and so on. Okay. Really cool. And note, in Gold Fever, Julius was the first to exploit the fictitious jungle. So Julius is this idea of this guy who was the first to go into the jungle and find the jungle, and he has now since ascended to a sort of godlike status in which he influences the world. And JBR tokens will control different parts of Julius's brain and will influence decisions that affect the game. This brings us to the next important element of Gold Fever, the NFTs, right? So then you have NFTs, which each non-fungible token is uniquely identifiable, representing characters, artifacts, and other rare items in the game. These tokens and the items they describe can be borrowed, traded in game, or potentially sold on external platforms. This means that each non-fungible token's value can be different from any other NFT. So it just says here that they separate the tokens, the virtual token from the crypto token, to basically comply with the requirements of the major providers that process microtransactions in the gaming industry. Smart move in my opinion, and this method allows Gold Fever to be listed on Steam and other game distribution platforms, thereby reaching a bigger audience and creating a more robust player base. Why is this important for you as an investor? Because again, user growth incentives are key. The more users there are, the price of the asset increases, the price of your investment increases. I trust this makes sense. And again, and as I was mentioning earlier, Jewel also makes the game more accessible to those who aren't comfortable using cryptocurrencies, right? So by purchasing Jewel using fiat, they will be able to participate in Gold Fever just as they do with any other game that integrates an in-game currency. That being said, a key priority will be key to make sure that acquiring and using the tokens is a breeze, even for users who have never dealt with crypto before. Again, thinking outside the box. This is just more reason. This just makes me bullish even more. And this is them just talking about how, you know, they see a market opportunity, right? And in here you can see it says, in terms of revenue, the global online gaming market was valued at 67.67 billion in 2018, and it's expected to grow at 17.5%, reaching 286 billion by 2027. That's a crazy amount, people. This is why my focus is on gaming, because the gaming industry is bigger than all other industries, and a lot of people don't realize this. Based on the free-to-play revenue model, the industry in which Gold Fever sits, integrating in-game purchases as the primary source of revenue, is expected to have the highest amount of growth during this period. Increasingly, players are attracted to games that can be played without a high upfront cost. As a free-to-play game initially, the barrier of entry for Gold Fever is low. So here we have the company business model. They talk about the ways that they're able to generate revenue and motivation to expand the game, and it's achieved in these following ways. Just a few different aspects of how they do that. So this is the roadmap. At the moment we are here, the early access beta stage, Q4 of 2021. They're basically making upgrades to the game, additional upgrades, beta version, allowing more players to come and test and play the game. Just getting more people involved and spreading more awareness about this particular project. We have the team here. This team, I have to say, are really focused on utility rather than hype. they really are focused, and from the outset they've really been vocal about the fact that they want to focus on a quality game, and that I think as an investor is what you want to hear, and this is what you want to see, especially in this niche of crypto. Okay, so let's have a look at the tokenomics, because I'm realizing that a lot of projects, they do rush their releases, and I think that is a little bit detrimental to the project itself, especially when you have early investors being able to purchase large amounts of the allocations, and then the vesting periods are all over the place, and a lot of tokens get dumped into the market, the price drops and stuff like that. So the Gold Fever tokenomics are actually really, really good. So they have a total supply of 170 million, okay? They've had the seed round, they've had the angel round, and they've had the venture capital round, okay? And they've also had the seed show. Now, what we can see here from well, you can see the vesting periods are actually pretty good. So those that have been able to buy a large allocation early, they have basically 10%, and then 3 months cliff, and then 3.6% on a monthly basis. So it's only a small amount that are going to be basically released onto the markets, right? And the same here, small amounts. I really like this. They have good tokenomics. And then for the seed show, they have the lockup at 20%, and then the 20% release is done on a quarterly basis, which I really like. And you can see here the tokenomics, a large portion is going to come from the mining. So again, similar to the Bitcoin mechanisms, new gold will come into circulation through playing the game, which I think is really, really important. And this is what gives, again, even more of an incentive for users and players to come and play, knowing that there is a large allocation being held just for that aspect of the game itself. This is the token distribution. Again, allocated in a way where I think it's been thought out and done really, really well. Small amounts to investors, and then small amounts will be released over wise and smart periods of time. And as you can see here, this is the vesting schedule. So gradually it increases over time, but that's over a 27-month period, people. 27-month period. Some of these games have been out a couple of months, and now we're seeing huge amounts of tokens being dumped onto the market by early investors, and it's just all over the place. And then if we look at the price right now, we're looking at $4.70. The market cap, I actually saw someone tweet earlier today that it's actually 57 million, and a 57 million market cap is super early, right? I know obviously the game's in its beta stage and stuff like that, but this project is early, really and truly, and I'm about to start dollar cost averaging into this. You can see the all-time high. We're actually 50% away from the all-time high at this point in time. This could potentially be a good entry point or a good time to start dollar cost averaging in. Obviously, you want to be cautious with where Bitcoin is at the moment. It's all dependent on if Bitcoin plays nice. But again, looks like Bitcoin's trading in the range at the moment. So again, sometimes no trade is the best trade. Being patient and observing, and dollar cost averaging in always helps. These are the exchanges where we can buy it: PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Huobi, Gate, KuCoin. Now the fun part. Let's have a look at some gameplay. I mean, can I just say that this could easily be a PlayStation game? This could easily be an Xbox game. Like, someone show me, if there is, please, like, I'm not saying there isn't, but please show me there is a better blockchain game, crypto game, play to earn game that has better graphics than this. You can just see the role-playing game and the model of that, how these games have always been the most successful. Think of World of Warcraft, think of Grand Theft Auto. Role-playing games are always the most fun games to play, always. And And here's another part of the game where you can actually create your own character, right? Based on the class of role or character that you choose, you can then actually get a little bit more specific and start creating your character based on how you choose. So that's Gold Fever, the Promised Land. I trust this video was useful. I trust it helped. This was a longer video, but I do want to go a little bit more in depth into the research that I'm doing in the projects themselves. Again, it's all about high conviction plays, and if you're managing your portfolio, you want to get to know your investments really well. Why? Because that's going to allow you to have high conviction, right? The better you know your investments, the better you know these projects, the more conviction you have. And when you do make investments, it allows you to eradicate the emotional aspect, especially when the investment of the price is going down, because you know in the long term this is going to be successful. So that's me, Charlie at The Resonance. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. See you next time.